This is Mona with Unheard Voices O.T.C.J. We check in with Swift Justice of the Free Alabama Movement and Unheard Voices O.T.C.J. to learn more about how to follow the lead of our freedom fighters inside. In this conversation, we talk strategy and why that strategy is not revolving around the idea of appealing to legislators, nor worrying about whether a special session will happen or not. We also learn more about the movement, how to get involved, and what lies ahead.
You got to look at the Senate and the House of Representatives right now as super majority Republicans, and that is a powerhouse right now. And we all know that the Republicans are not looking for the outlook or solution of actually releasing people. One of the quotes that you can quote me on is that, since people love using the word mass incarceration, we're looking for a mass release, not mass incarceration, and that is exactly what they're trying to do with these new buildings. Now, these new facilities that they're talking about building, and they're promising the public that they will close other facilities, that in itself is a lie. We know that Alabama will lie in a heartbeat about what they plan on doing. And the only thing that they're trying to do right now is build these new prisons through a private company and bring in the private prison industry, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry we already know. So we do not want any part of that whatsoever. Why not redirect them hundreds of millions of dollars into rehabilitation and actually freeing people who have been sentenced up under the Habitual Offender Act for 15 to 20 years? It's over and over that the parole board itself has been denying individuals on these violent cases. Now, let's look at that for a second about the violent cases and the statistics and the percentage on nonviolent versus violent in the state of Alabama. Right now, we are at 165% overcrowded. 150% of that coming out of Cam Ward's mouth himself is violent offenders. Only 14% are nonviolent inside the state of Alabama, the prison system. So you can relieve the system of all nonviolent offenders and still have 150% overcrowded inside the system, which is still 20% over the capacity of what California was during the Plata case. And when the federal government ordered California to release 30,000 inmates. So what we're looking for is not prison reform, because that's exactly what the state of Alabama is doing. They're trying to reform slavery in its best. So no, we do not want it. And everything that Kay Ivey and the Senate is doing right now, I mean, look at Charles Graddick being appointed to the Board of Pardon and Parole as the executive director. Charles Graddick himself was the one who wrote the 446 Act for Alabama, which is the Habitual Offender Act. Everything they're doing is in contradiction of actually relieving the prison system.
In what ways are you building to move forward and push the movement after this DOJ report?
Well, as you know, I'm a true believer, right along with Kinetic Justice and other brothers that have been involved in the movement, that the only thing that is actually working so far to get things done is what we are doing on the inside when we're performing hunger strikes or labor strikes or whatever that we have performed in the past. We have to give y'all a reason to move. Y'all did a fantastic job at Limestone recently, which got removed 2 wardens and a captain who was extorting and assaulting inmates through the bucket detail. We are on fire. All we need is unity with families of those who are incarcerated here in Alabama. When the sad part about the protest at Limestone recently was that it was reported to me that there were very few people from Alabama there and a lot of people from out of state. We have to start bringing in unity on what these guys inside this prison system are trying to accomplish. You have to realize one thing. This movement itself was started and it's an inside movement. It's not an outside movement. I'm not trying to take anything away from outside organizers, but outside organizers so far with us, they have adapted to what we are trying to accomplish. We are trying to accomplish the end of slavery. We are trying to accomplish the end of the elected term mass incarceration and bring in new policy, new procedures, and new laws regarding all that.
So do you have some recommendations for folks on the outside? I mean, it sounds like it's following the lead from y'all inside. What other things come to mind when you say when you have in the past talked about boots on the ground?
Of course, I recommend that those on the outside who are advocating or claiming to advocate for those on the inside to actually get with our people, with the Free Alabama movement, with our people with Unheard Voices, O.T.C.J, that are aware of what we are trying to accomplish on the inside. We have guys in here who have been in here for 15 and 20 years, and I know I've said that, 25, 30, 40 years, who are steadily being denied parole. There is no reason why these guys are still inside the prison system. There's been statistic after statistic that show that these guys are the ones that were the least likely to reoffend. We are here to break that multi-billion-dollar industrial complex of the prison industry. We are not here to support anything other than breaking that and stopping slavery. So I recommend that people that are on the outside that are calling themselves advocates for us to get on the same agenda that we're on.
How does this also fit into, I mean, I'm looking at Alabama, and the fight in Alabama is connected to a wider struggle against prison slavery. And what does it mean to have freedom fighters right now in Alabama fighting for these issues when we need to also build that support in Alabama?
You know, it is a mirror image all over the United States of America. What we're fighting for here in America is the same thing we're fighting on a national scale too. What we have to do is set an example here in Alabama, and we have to go forward, because right now it is right here in Alabama to make a big, huge difference. We've been on national media, the national media platform for not just months, but years now. So we have to wind up setting an example. We cannot be an example without actually making a difference on both sides, with the inside organizers and the outside organizers.
So one of the things that we're working on because it's what y'all want on the inside, is getting people up to DC to confront the Department of Justice and to get media attention back on Alabama and ask the Department of Justice why they haven't acted. What would you have to say about that mobilization?
That mobilization I find to be a necessity. We have to do that because, like I said, in 2014, the Department of Justice did not do their job when it came to our sisters over at Tutwiler. The only thing that was accomplished out of that right there in itself was individuals who were being investigated and accused of sexually assaulting and physically assaulting our sisters over at Tutwiler. They received promotions and were moved to other facilities. They were moved to these men facilities, such as Elmore Correctional Facility. You had a sergeant or an officer at Tutwiler who was promoted actually to a sergeant position and moved to Elmore Correctional Facility. His name was Ulysses Oliver. Here in 2019, we're dealing with Ulysses Oliver again, where he actually participating in beating a brother that was in Elmore Correctional Facility that was restrained in handcuffs. And he's now pled guilty to assault on that brother. We wouldn't be dealing with that if the Department of Justice had done what they were supposed to do in 2014.
Yep.
So, yeah, that is a necessity that we have to actually confront right now. We have to hold the Department of Justice accountable. We have to show what. Let me ask you a question. What is the Department of Justice for? What is their job?
They're supposed to protect the human rights of our people in this country.
That is correct. And are they protecting our rights, or are they saying that we're not human enough to push the agenda of the Eighth Amendment violations that were uncovered through their investigation? Is that exactly what Jay Towns is doing out of the Northern Division of Alabama by sheltering the Alabama Department of Corrections right now, saying that they're doing a fantastic job? You know, experts were saying that they were doing a fantastic job over at Tutwiler as well, but yet at the same time, those sisters are still having to undergo those same conditions. So why is it that the Department of Justice is not acting here in Alabama, of all places, but yet at the same time, when they're brought in any other state in the United States of America, they have acted and forced these prisons or these states to do what they was told to do?
Yeah. So mobilizing now is critical because we've all been here before. And no action was taken. So you see holding the Department of Justice accountable?
You have 1 minute left.
The Department of Justice doing what?
Holding the Department of Justice accountable to their job, which is holding the Alabama Department of Corrections accountable. Is that the end game plan, or is this just part of a strategy?
That is only part of the strategy. That is just a step that we have to take. Nothing else. The fight is we pick our battles, and that is one of the battles of the war. That is all it is.
All right. Anything else you want to say?
I appreciate everything that y'all are doing, and I appreciate anybody who's listening to this. Thank you. Thank you for accepting this call, sir.